What's up, everyone? Today we have another fantastic compilation featuring the best stories from our /Trueoffmychest. These 6 incredible tales will shock and entertain you. Subscribe if you're new here. This story is titled If You Ever Think Your Relationship is Fucked Up, At Least It's Not This, posted by you/LingLingTherapyPanda. My fiance's best friend called her out of the blue and asked her if I was around. My fiancé said no, looked at me, and put the phone on speaker. Her friend then asked my fiancé if she was down to have a threesome with her and her boyfriend. My fiancé told her, "It's not you, I'm just not comfortable with my body to do that." The friend got upset and rude about it, then hung up. My fiancé and I looked at each other like, what the F just happened? 2 weeks later she called my fiancé back crying, telling her she caught her boyfriend cheating. He was arranging meetups with other men on Craigslist to suck their dick. Bullet dodged. It reminded me of my fiancé's other friend who caught her boyfriend doing the same thing, going on Craigslist and meeting other men to suck their dick. Am I the only man not meeting other guys on Craigslist to suck their dicks behind my girlfriend's back? In my opinion, both girls were attractive, definitely attractive enough to keep me from going behind their back to suck guys' dicks I met on Craigslist. Call me crazy, but I enjoy getting my dick sucked by my fiancé more than I'd enjoy sucking some guy's dick I met on Craigslist. It's infuriating this girl would ask my fiancé to cheat on me. And when my fiancé says no, gets upset at my fiancé. She should have gotten upset with her boyfriend for ever coming up with the idea to ask my fiancé to cheat on me in the first place. I guess it's ironic her boyfriend would turn around and cheat on her with random man off Craigslist after asking my fiancé to cheat on me. Ick if I believe this is karma or not, but I'm glad my fiancé is loyal to me. And I'm not interested in cheating on her with a random man off Craigslist. This story is titled My Wife Slapped Me in My 20s, and I brushed it off. I shouldn't have, posted by you/Speaker12427. Let's jump into another amazing story. I have been thinking about something from a long time ago. And I guess I just need to say it somewhere. I do not really have anyone in my life I can talk to about this in an honest way. Around 16 or 17 years ago, back when we were in our 20s with 2 young kids at home, my wife slapped me during an argument. It was the only time it ever happened. It did not physically hurt me. What hit harder was the shock of it. But at the time I told myself it was nothing. I grew up watching movies and shows where a woman slapping a man was treated like some dramatic moment everyone just brushed off. So, I brushed it off too. We were young, tired, stressed, and I chalked it up to postpartum. I never even considered questioning it. What I did not realize until now was how the years after shaped me. Every time I tried bringing it up, she cried. Not a tear or two, but deep crying. I ended up consoling her every time. Somehow I became responsible for her emotions about something that happened to me. And since I loved her, I kept taking that on. I kept telling myself she was going through postpartum, or overstimulation, or later premenopause, and eventually menopause. Every stage had a new explanation. And with every explanation, I convinced myself I had to be more patient, more understanding, more quiet. What I never did was give myself any empathy. Looking back, I think the frustration built quietly because I could never figure out when I was allowed to be upset, or allowed to have my own reaction. If I voiced anything, it would immediately get linked to whatever phase she was in. Then, I would have to calm her down, or avoid pushing her too far. Because I did not want things to explode around the kids. So, I stayed silent. I kept absorbing it all. I hate that it changed the way I look at things. I hate that it made me more numb toward people dealing with depression, or anxiety, or postpartum issues. I know those things are real and serious. But for so many years those were the reasons I was expected to swallow my own feelings, and it slowly shut something off in me. I also never gave any ultimatums. Everything I read said ultimatums were bad for relationships. And honestly, I was scared to even say something like, I cannot do this anymore. Because she might spiral, and the kids were too young to deal with that. So, I kept the peace. I worked. I cooked every meal for 17 years. I handled the house and most of the bills. She contributed, but it was more like 25% to my 75%. But that's my side of the story. She should have hers, and that's okay, and I always told myself that was fine. That is what love is. That is what partnership is. And in a strange way, I do think she appreciates me. I think she knows I put up with a lot, and helped her through things. But appreciation is not the same as actually fitting together in the long run. Now that the kids are older, I finally see the dynamic for what it is. I do not see myself living the rest of my life like this. I do not see myself always being the one who has to swallow everything, so the other person can avoid feeling uncomfortable or guilty. Maybe the slap itself was not the whole story. Maybe the bigger story is everything I absorbed afterward. Everything I never said. Everything I excused. My lawyer is serving her next week. I do not feel happy about it. I do not feel victorious. I just feel like I am finally listening to the part of myself that never got space in this marriage. This story is titled My Mom's Man Was Very Gross Tonight, posted by you/Remote Tangerine 718. Moving on to our next incredible story. So, my mom has been dating this man for 7 years now but refuses to call him her man. Because he's not really the kind of partner she wants, but he fixes things around the house and keeps her company. So, she keeps him around, I guess? Anyway, they were watching this show in the living room while I was eating in the kitchen. And my mom started talking about men who cheat on their wives and how sometimes they don't cheat with women who are more attractive than their wives. So, my mom and her man were discussing reasons why men cheat. And her man says it could also be because the woman has a WAP. My mom does not know what WAP means, but I obviously know what he's referring to. The song WAP by Cardi B, that means wet ass PSSY. My mom is asking him what a WAP is. And he turns to me, 25F, and says that I know what it is and should tell her. He keeps insisting that I tell her, and I just say that I don't know what it means. I thought the entire interaction was disgusting and disrespectful AF, because why would you ask someone to tell their mom what that means? And he clearly knew what it was. So insisting that I say it when I wasn't even in the conversation to begin with felt nasty. Maybe some people are comfortable enough with their parents for those discussions. But I was appalled that he kept insisting I explain it. He's also in his 60s, so I feel like it felt very icky and creepy for an old guy like that to be speaking to a young woman in that way, especially his girlfriend's daughter. This story is titled Texted Her About How I Felt, posted by you/Sensitive Rock 5948. Let's dive into another shocking story. Texted my crush telling her how I feel, took me months to work up the courage, and as I expected, she replies, sorry. But I'm not really looking for anything RN serious or casual. I thanked for her honesty and we agreed to just go on being friends. I come home later that day to find her banging my roommate, something that's been happening for a few months now. Sigh. I know it's not my business and they're adults free to do what they want. But I just feel a little left out to dry here. He knew how I felt about her. Man, this just sucks. This story is titled It Wasn't About the Honey Mustard, posted by you/Neuroclips. This story is equally incredible. Last night I broke down crying in the kitchen over honey mustard. My husband and I had gotten home from the store and was making dinner. While we were at the store, he wanted to pick up some honey mustard. And I said I was pretty sure we had some at home. When he went looking for it in the pantry, he couldn't find it. So I went to look for it. I couldn't find it either, so I came out all upset because I was sure I had seen it and thought I was losing my mind, and told him, and he said it was fine. I went back in there searching over and over. When I came back out, he had already taken his food and left the kitchen. I immediately started crying. You see, I had previously spent 6 years in an emotionally abusive relationship. My brain immediately jumped to he's mad at me. That's what would have happened in my past relationship. I would have been punished for it. He would have yelled at me, probably made me go back to the store at 8 p.m. to get it, and would have held it against me for days, gaslighting me and not letting me sleep until I made up for it somehow. Even though my mind had forgotten the abuse, my body recognized the situation. And I had such a visceral breakdown in the kitchen while my husband was none the wiser. Mentally, I knew that he didn't care about it, and it wouldn't be a big deal at all. My husband never sweats the small stuff. And something like this wouldn't even be a mild annoyance, merely an okay, we'll get it next time. But my body was convinced I was back in that emotionally abusive hellscape. I was shaking and could not stop crying. It's been 7 years since I got out of that relationship. In that time I moved on, found a great man, and got married and adopted 2 cats. Life is great. I thought I was over it and that the trauma was behind me. People always talk about physical abuse, but emotional abuse stays in your body as well. My very confused husband found me crying shortly after, and held me while I explained that it wasn't about the honey mustard. This story is titled "Gave My Friend Access to My Instagram Page, and They Ruined Everything," posted by you/incognito mode. And now for our final story of today. I had been running a small but successful Instagram page for 4 years. One of the perks was that I often got collaboration offers, which gave me easy access to events or sponsor passes. A while back, I gave my friend the login credentials for the account because he asked for them. I had previously asked if he wanted to help manage the page when I got busy, but he had zero interest in doing the actual work. However, I gave him access on the strict condition that he was not to reply to messages or change anything on the page. He agreed. Fast forward to a couple of months ago, this friend got into a relationship. Suddenly, he wanted to impress his girlfriend by taking her to events using the sponsor passes I usually received. Since I wasn't a huge party goer, I used to just give him my extra passes freely. The trouble started when he began demanding that I send formal collaboration requests to every event organizer in town just so he could score more passes. I told him I couldn't do that, it looked spammy and unprofessional, and that wasn't how my collaborations worked. He then started criticizing the page, saying it didn't look good or attractive compared to competitors, and insisted I let him revamp the bio and account structure to send out these proposals. I told him that if he wanted to do that, he could do it from his personal email on behalf of the page, but he refused. He also refused to help me with the actual work on the page when I asked. Despite me explicitly telling him no and do not touch the page settings, he waited until I went to sleep and did it anyway. I woke up the next morning to find the entire bio structure changed, the style altered, and collaboration request messages sent to various event companies. I immediately deleted the messages and reverted the changes. However, a few days later, Instagram suspended my account without a specific reason. When I told my friend the account was suspended, he showed absolutely no remorse and had zero interest in helping me recover it. He had already logged out and washed his hands of the problem. Even before my account got suspended, I had asked him to help me by making a list of organizers and companies involved in event management. He simply ignored my texts or replied that he would do it when he was free. After the suspension, I visited his home for some reason and asked why he wasn't helping. He replied that he actually wanted to help, but didn't know how to create the file. I sat down and explained everything to him, and he said he would do it now that he knew how. During the conversation, he asked, "Why do you want a list now if you have no page? Are you making a new one?" I didn't give him a reason for why I wanted the list, but I left expecting him to handle it. Yet, even after days and after multiple reminders, he didn't make a single entry or create the file. After a lot of effort, I finally managed to get the account restored. Naturally, I changed all the passwords. My friend immediately asked for the new credentials. I didn't want a confrontation, so I told him a white lie. I said I was only allowed to be logged in on one device for the next 6 months due to the security flag. Recently, he went to a popular event. Before going, he saw a promotional post for it on my page and asked if I was collaborating with them. I lied and told him I wasn't. Usually, he invited me to tag along, but this time he went without asking me. Ironically, I actually did have sponsor passes for that specific event because I was collaborating with them. Since he didn't bother to invite me, and considering he changed my page bio and structure and refused to help me fix the mess and didn't send me file, I simply didn't offer him the passes and kept them for myself. I felt a little weird about it at the time, but I felt like I was justified. And that's all for today's Reddit stories. These incredible tales never fail to amaze me. Subscribe for more compilations like this. What did you think? Drop a comment. Thanks for watching.